Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster, live from Chicago, where several of those Texas lawmakers are now, and former San Antonio mayor and former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President Obama, Julian Castro. Shaq, these lawmakers are facing some big threats from Governor Abbott with losing their seats, felony charges. How concerned are these Democrats about those possible repercussions?
Well, Anna, both last night and even in that conversation that you had in the last hour, the Democrats have been somewhat candid about saying that they are concerned about the repercussions of the actions that they have decided to take. But there's kind of two different messaging tracks that you're hearing. On one end, they're saying they don't think that the governor could really act on everything that he's threatening of them. You heard a lawmaker from Texas who is fleeing to New York say that it's just kind of he's making stuff up, in the words of that one lawmaker. But you also have them saying, essentially, it's worth the risk. They're trying to nationalize their actions. They're trying to put more attention on what Texas is doing, what the legislature is trying to move through, and they're trying to get support from all over the country as they engage in this fight. I want you to listen to some of the comments we heard from the party chair last night as soon as they landed in Chicago.
We're not here to play political games. We're here to demand an end to this corrupt process.
Yeah, absolutely.
We ask them to stop hiding things from the public. We ask them to stop doing things behind closed doors. We ask them to stop attacking Texas communities.
A message that you heard later from both he and J.B. Pritzker, the Illinois governor, who is standing right behind him, is that this is about President Trump. They believe that this is a power grab that's initiated by the president. And they're saying that, look, this is not just about Texas, but this is about control of Congress come the midterm elections. If the Texas legislature is able to change these maps, that could win them, Republicans, 5 more seats in Congress, Hannah.
Shaq Brewster in Chicago for us. Thank you. Secretary Castro, what's your reaction to Governor Abbott's threats? What would it look like if Abbott actually tried to take action against these lawmakers?
Yeah, Abbott has gone, you saw there that clip on Fox News. I mean, huffing and puffing, that's more animated than you'll usually see Greg Abbott. But he's gone into this kind of full-on Trump-like authoritarian mode, threatening to remove these legislators. And also, in addition to that, also threatening to charge people who give campaign contributions to them. These are ordinary citizens who make campaign contributions, threatening in his statement last night to charge them with bribery. So this is insane. It's well beyond anything that Governor Abbott, or I dare say another governor, has done in situations like this. And we have to remember that this is a familiar move for Texans. Democrats left the state in 1979. They left the state in 2003 when, at the behest of Tom DeLay back then, they tried to do mid-district redistricting. They also left just 4 years ago in 2021. They went to Washington, D.C. So what I think this does is this buys some time. Who knows how it'll play out, but it ends up buying time. I seriously doubt if Greg Abbott's threats are going to come to fruition.
There has been some criticism that because these Democrats are leaving the session, it stops the passing of other needed legislation like that disaster relief following the historic flooding there in Texas. What do you make of that argument? Could these Democrats face backlash from their voters, do you think?
Well, I think potentially politically that's more of the danger here. And it was very telling, Anna, because I expected the first statement out of Greg Abbott's mouth to be, hey, you guys need to come back. We need to make these improvements for flood safety for Kerr County. Remember that a month ago, we're on August 4th, a month ago on July 4th, began the Kerr County floods, and more than 100 people died, including 36 children in those floods. They called this special session, the governor did in Texas, saying that they were going to do something to keep the people of Kerr County and other places safe. They didn't put that on the agenda first. Instead, they put this redistricting effort at the request of Donald Trump. So it was telling today that he didn't say that. He didn't say we need to get this done for flood safety.
We're joined now by a Democratic member of the Texas State House, John Bryant, who's in Illinois right now. Representative Bryant, thanks for taking the time. Governor Abbott is saying that Democrats are running from this fight by leaving the state. What's your response?
Well, we're actually fighting the fight by leaving the state. The Republicans have an 88 to 62 majority in the Texas House, and the only way we can stop this bill from passing is to prevent them from having a quorum and bringing it up. So more than 51 Democrats have left the state in order to prevent them from having the 100 members in attendance that they need in order to pass the bill.
You all knew the threat of arrest could be on the table. Now the governor is threatening to expel and replace you and your colleagues as well. Do you expect the governor to follow through on that threat? And what will Democrats do then?
Well, he has no power to do that. In this lawless era of Trump, I'm sure they will attempt to do whatever they can dream up, but he does not have that power. Even if he did, I think we would stand firm. All of us would be reelected. The public doesn't support this idea of a president calling a governor and telling him to redraw the congressional lines in his district in the middle of the decade in order to help the president win a majority or keep a majority in the Congress. That's not the way it's ever been done. It's not right, and the public doesn't support it.
Are you worried about arrest? Is anyone there worried and trying to get back home?
Well, we expect almost anything from the right-wing extremists that now run our country and our particular state. I don't think that's likely to happen, but it certainly could happen, particularly if we were in the jurisdiction. But we're in Illinois. We're outside the reach, I think, of the House Sergeant at Arms. And for now, anyway, we're happy to be here. We're happy with whatever the consequences are. I mean, we want to protect our democracy from Trump. We also want to protect middle-class people from Medicare cuts, Medicaid cuts. I'm sure Social Security is next, and from higher prices due to tariffs, also from the transfer of wealth from the middle class to the billionaires through these tax cuts that are creating historic deficits for our country.
So you said you're happy to deal with whatever the repercussions are. Are you prepared to be arrested?
Sure, we are. But let me point out to you, millions of Americans would like to be able to directly fight against President Trump. We have the unique privilege to take him on right now, and we're glad to be doing it. Our obligation is to our country, not to holding office, and certainly not to doing what a man-child president demands of our governor.
We turn now to the situation in Texas, where that state's governor, Greg Abbott, is threatening to remove from office Democratic lawmakers who have fled the state to block redistricting efforts. More than 50 Democrats left the state yesterday afternoon, a move that will prevent the Texas House from having enough members needed to consider and pass legislation. They say they plan to stay out of Texas until August 19th, when the special session called by the governor comes to an end. Abbott added redistricting to the agenda at the urging of President Trump and his political team because they believe the state could add as many as 5 Republican seats in next year's midterms with these new maps. Under Texas House rules, the lawmakers could face a $500 a day fine and the threat of arrest for leaving the state. As for Abbott's threat to remove them from office, he was citing a non-binding 2021 legal opinion from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who said it would be up to a court to decide whether a lawmaker who had left the state to deny quorum had forfeited their office. Joining us now is one of those Texas Democrats, State Representative Ann Johnson. Representative Johnson, thank you for joining us. I believe you're joining us from Chicago. You're from Illinois, you and your colleagues. Talk to us about why you made this decision and what do you make of the governor's threats to potentially have you removed from office?
Well, good morning and thank you. And yes, Texas Democrats, House Democrats are standing up to protect the voice of everyday Texans and voters across this nation. I think the governor's threats over the last 24 hours show just how scared they are of voters next November. And I understand why they want to threaten for me to lose my job and why they think it would work, because it worked for Texas Republicans. When Trump threatened to primary them if he didn't give them vouchers and defund public education, they gave it to him. When Trump called and said, I need 5 congressional seats because he's afraid of voters voting against the big, ugly bill, they said, hey, does July work for you? And so as Texas Democrats, we are breaking quorum. And this is actually the most important thing that I can do as a public official because it's protected by the founding fathers out of our Texas Constitution that says when the minority party knows that the majority has gone off the rails and is corrupting the system against the interest of the people, this is your last tool. It is extraordinary. It is an exceptional act. And yes, we are all feeling the threats. But we know what they're saying is you just show up today at 3, sit in your chair and be quiet, and you'll be fine. But the voices of all of our constituents would be silenced, and that's not okay with Texas Democrats.
Representative Johnson, of course, was akin to a few years ago. Some other lawmakers from Texas left the state in an act of protest as well. But what happens after, a few weeks pass, the special session, the call ends? But could the governor could certainly revisit it under pressure from the White House. Would this be something where every few months you guys would have to leave the state again? To walk us through the beyond the immediate future here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Texan, and in football terms, when the other team is first and goal at the 1, you don't pull your defense. You get on the field and you play. And that's where we are right now. The governor has called a special session despite all the other emergencies, including flooding. There is only one bill that they have heard in the last 2 weeks, and that's this redistricting bill.
Donald's plan is getting mushed in Texas. It's getting torn down because people are fighting back. This is it's an assault on democracy by the Texas Republicans. And make no mistake, this is coming all the way from the top of Trump Tower, right? This is Donald Trump's doing. This is Donnie's doing because he doesn't want, among other things, the Democrats to take back the House so they can investigate Epstein, so that they can stop his bills, so that they can uncover all of the corruption and the ways that he's probably making money off all of this, right? And because remember, a turning point in the first Trump term was when the Democrats took back the House. Because if you remember, 2016, Trump wins the trifecta. He keeps the Senate in 2018, unfortunately, which is why the Supreme Court is so messed up. But the benefit was when the Democrats took back the House was that they could start to investigate Trump. And the investigations into Trump really showed people how awful this man was. Because a lot of it that we now remember as like, oh, it was everywhere, a lot of it had to be dug up by these investigations and putting people under oath and all of that, right? And so Donald doesn't want that. And what's really good here is that these brave Texas people that are shutting down Trump's efforts by protesting and by leaving the state, they're getting a lot of support from national Democrats. I think J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, is supporting them. And look, I'm not a fan of billionaires. I'm not. But this is a billionaire who has, if he's a billionaire, he's got effectively unlimited resources to help these people. And so long as they can stay out of the state, they can stop Texas from doing this. And let's be clear, Trump and Abbott's plan is clearly anti-democratic. Redistricting doesn't happen every 2 years. It's just happened. They're doing it again now to rig it for Trump. And Democrats are fighting back.